In February of 1959, 9 experienced hikers pitched a tent on the slopes of the Ural Mountains. Something made them cut their way out from the inside and run into the frozen darkness. They left their boots. They left their coats. Temperatures were 30 degrees below zero. Their bodies were found weeks later. Some had fractured skulls. One was missing her tongue. Their clothing carried traces of radiation. And the investigation concluded they were killed by, quote, a compelling natural force. More than 60 years later, no one can explain what drove them from that tent. The photographs they took that night tell a story, but the ending is missing. These are the terrifying historical photographs that scientists still cannot explain. And these are the real stories behind the images history left unanswered. The Dyatlov Pass incident begins with 10 people. It ends with 9 bodies and 60 years of unanswered questions. Igor Dyatlov led a group of students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute on a skiing expedition. Most were experienced hikers. All were young. On February the 1st, they reached the slopes of Kholat Syakhl. The name translates from the indigenous Mansi language as Dead Mountain. They pitched their tent that afternoon. The last entry in their group diary was cheerful, and then the photographs stopped making sense. Rescue teams found the tent on February 26th. It was cut open from the inside. Footprints led downhill, bare footprints, prints in socks, stretching nearly a mile. At the edge of the forest, they found the first 2 bodies beside a small fire. Their hands were burned. They had tried to keep warm. 3 more bodies were found scattered between the fire and the tent. All died from hypothermia. All were poorly dressed. All had fled something in the night. The remaining 4 bodies were found months later in a ravine, buried under 10 feet of snow. This is where the story fractures. Lyudmila Dubinina was missing her tongue. Her eyes were missing too. Semyon Zolotaryov had the same injuries. Alexei Kolevatov and Nikolai Thibault Brignoles were found nearby. 3 of the 4 had massive internal injuries. Chest fractures, skull fractures, with no corresponding external wounds. The medical examiner compared the force to that of a car crash. But here is what the photographs cannot show. The hikers' clothing was radioactive. Their tent had been cut from the inside, not clawed, not torn, cut with precision. And on the night of February 1st, another group of hikers 30 miles south reported seeing strange orange spheres of light moving across the sky. The Soviet investigation closed the case in 3 months. The official cause of death, quote, a compelling natural force. They sealed the files. They banned hikers from the area for 3 years. And they never explained the radiation, the missing tongue, or the precision cuts in the tent fabric. To this day, the photographs from those cameras are the last record of what 9 people saw on Dead Mountain. Whatever it was, they ran from it without shoes, without coats, into a blizzard at 30 below zero. Scientists call it an avalanche. An infrasound event, katabatic winds. But none of these explain the internal injuries without external trauma. None explain the radioactive clothing. None explain why the tongue was removed. The photographs remain. The photographs do not answer. Not every unexplainable photograph comes from a frozen mountain. Some come from a beach in broad daylight with hundreds of witnesses present. But no one saw the death of the Somerton Man. On December 1st, 1948, a man was found dead on Somerton Park Beach in Adelaide, Australia. He was lying on his back, legs crossed, head resting against the seawall. He was dressed in a full suit. His collar was starched, his shoes were polished. A passerby noticed him around 6:30 in the morning. He looked like a drunk sleeping off the night, but he was dead. The autopsy found nothing. No sign of violence, no water in the lungs. His heart was normal. His stomach contained a small amount of food, but no identifiable poison. His pupils were unusually small, a possible sign of a rare toxin, but no trace was ever found in the body. In a hidden pocket sewn into his trousers, police found a small scrap of paper. It had been torn from a book. 2 words were printed on it, Tamam Shud. Those words come from the final page of a collection of Persian poems, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. The translation reads, quote, "It is ended." Police launched a national search for the book the page was torn from. They found it. The owner came forward, a man who claimed someone had thrown it into his car. Inside the back cover, someone had written 5 lines in block letters. A code. 5 lines of letters. No one has ever deciphered it. Cryptographers, military intelligence, university mathematicians, all of them failed. But this is not the strangest part of the Somerton Man. Investigators linked the book to a woman, a nurse who lived a few hundred meters from the beach. She said she had given a copy of the Rubaiyat to a man during the war. When shown a plaster cast of the dead man's face, she reportedly said nothing. But witnesses described her as being close to fainting. She never admitted knowing him. She never explained the book, and she took whatever she knew to her grave. The man was embalmed and buried under a headstone that read, quote, "Here lies the unknown man." Then in 2022, 74 years later, a DNA analysis identified the Somerton Man as Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne. His identity is no longer the mystery. What remains unanswered is everything else. The code, the poison that left no trace, the woman who nearly fainted at the sight of his face, and why a man wearing a fine suit, with no identification, with a scrap of poetry hidden in a secret pocket, why he died on a beach, in plain view, fully composed, as if he had simply decided to stop living. The photograph captured a man the world could not name for 7 decades. Science has put a name to the face. Science has not answered the rest. Some mysteries are solved over decades. Others grow stranger the longer you look at them. And the lead mask's case is among the strangest photographs ever developed. On August the 20th, 1966, a young man flying a kite on a hillside near Rio de Janeiro found the bodies of 2 men. They were lying side by side. They were wearing matching suits and matching lead masks. The masks were crude, crafted from thick lead, shaped to cover the eyes. The men had no visible injuries. Beside their bodies lay an empty water bottle, a small towel, and a notebook. Inside the notebook, a single note was written in Portuguese. It read, 1630, be at the designated place. 1830, swallow capsules. After the effect, protect the metals. Wait for the mask signal. No capsules were found. No cause of death was ever determined. The lead masks provided no protection from anything a coroner could identify. The men were identified as Manuel Pereira da Cruz and José Miguel Viana. They were electronic technicians from a town 100 miles away. Their families said they had been acting strangely for days. They had bought the waterproof coats they were wearing. They had purchased the lead masks from a scrap dealer. They had told their wives they were going to buy a car. They drove 90 miles in the opposite direction of any car dealership. They walked up a hillside with no view, no landmark, no apparent significance. They lay down in the grass and died. The coroner could not establish cause of death. The internal organs showed nothing. No heart attacks, no poison, no injury. The toxicology tests found nothing. The lead masks, tested exhaustively, contained no substance and served no detectable function. Theories accumulated over the decades. They were trying to contact extraterrestrials. They belonged to a spiritualist cult. They had taken hallucinogens and miscalculated the dose. They had attempted an experiment with high-voltage electronics and the current stopped their hearts. An invisible death, leaving no mark. None of these explain the masks. Lead blocks radiation, not spiritual energy. And if this was an electrical accident, where was the equipment? The photograph endures because it makes no sense, and has never made sense. 2 men in suits, wearing improvised lead goggles, lying in the grass. A note that reads like instructions, and a 58-year silence where the explanation should be. 9 hikers ran into the frozen dark and never told anyone why. A man in a pressed suit died on a beach with a coded message no one can read. 2 technicians in lead masks lay down in a field and left a note that raised more questions than it answered. The photographs from these moments were developed. The negatives survived. But every image carries the burden of what the camera could not capture. The sound, the feeling, the thing that made 9 people cut through canvas and run barefoot into the dark. The photographs do not explain, they only preserve the question. If you found this journey through history as compelling as I did, subscribe for more untold stories.